sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. To our state conference president, Michael McClanahan, to our state conference officials, to our local NAACP chapter president, Donzel Hughes, and to the local chapter of the NAACP officials, to the many visitors to our area who came from afar to be a part of this conference, to those of you who have gathered here this evening, at this hour and at this time, to celebrate the accomplishments of the NAACP, to the recipients of the awards that will be given out tonight, to friends of the NAACP who are here on this occasion, let me first say good evening.
Evening.
And don't worry about this big notebook. I'm not going to be up here long, but I'm going to be up here strong. So let me apologize in advance if I step on any toes. When I think about the lyrics to that song, it makes me think about the plight and the struggle of the NAACP. It is a modern day David versus Goliath. When you think about the Herculean tasks and challenges that this organization must face, we realize that the NAACP has done much with very little. And it reminds us that it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. When it comes to the NAACP, we ask a lot of this organization. We're often caught up on this organization and we ask them to do a lot. But there are many who do not contribute much back into the organization. We must stop that. We must stop that. Do you agree with me? The NAACP needs our help in every way. This group was formed in 1909 as an interracial endeavor. An interracial endeavor. People from all walks of life, black folks, white folks, Christians, Protestants, and Jews came together for this endeavor to advance justice for African Americans. The fact that they saw Jim Crow era, patent racial discrimination, segregation being inflicted and oppressed upon a people. The NAACP has fought against racial violence, segregation, and denial of voting rights. And it has fought for political, educational, social, and economic equality. I say all that to say this, that the NAACP is just as relevant today as it was when it was founded back in 1909. It needs our support. We cannot ask the NAACP to go into a stick fight and everybody has a stick except them. It needs our support. Our arms cannot become weary. Reminds me of a song they say, I don't feel no ways tired. Is anybody tired tonight? I don't feel no ways tired. The NAACP is at the front line. There's no time to become weary. Least you think that many of the advances and the gains that have been made over the decades cannot be taken away from you, cannot be rolled back. I stand here to tell you tonight, it's already happening. We'll talk about some of that a little later on, but it's already happening. Listen, nobody is finna come and get you and beat you with a bullwhip. You ever played dominoes and felt like the person keeping the score was pencil whipping you? They are taking this pencil and they are writing laws and policies and rules. They're using your tax money and my tax money, and they're working against you. I'm talking to everybody in this room tonight. There are people of goodwill. Makes no difference the color of your skin. I've said before and I'll say it again. For black people to be where we are today, it's up to working some good white folks too. We're in this thing together. We're in it together. Our arms cannot become weary. As we continue to prepare the next generation, it pleases me to look in this audience tonight and see the faces of so many young people. The next generation. We must continue to work with our children and our young adults and our young families. And we must pass on the value of human interaction. Human interaction. Listen, our grandparents and great-grandparents forged an entire civil rights movement with not as much as a fax machine or a typewriter. But today, on many occasions, and many of you probably agree with me, you can go into restaurants and you can see 3 or 4, 5 people sitting at the table. None of them are talking to each other. They all have these little devices, and they're working on those little devices. No human interaction. The iPhone, the smartwatch, and the tablet. When I go to my bank, I only see maybe 1 or 2 people in there that are tellers. They usher me right over to the ATM machine and say that's where you've got to transact your business. When I go to the super Walmart, pick up my few little items. Now I get ready to check out, they send me to a machine. And some of those machines have the unmitigated gall to say that they don't want cash. You need a card. Human interaction. What made the civil rights movement the movement that it was because of human interaction. The planning, the marching, the demonstrations, the boycotts, the sit-ins, that was human interaction, and it made people move. It made people come together. That's why we cannot become weary of attending conferences like you've been at the past few days. I ask you, have this conference revived you? Has it allowed you to meet new people? Has it allowed you to reacquaint yourself with old friends? Has it helped to set a new direction? We can't become weary of human interaction. And we must pass this on to the next generation. Our arms cannot become weary in facing the challenges on education, and specifically public education. The teaching profession is being devalued. tax money is being sent to private education. In fact, there is a move towards privatizing education in this state. This year in the legislature, it was earmarked anywhere from $300 to $500 million tax money going towards voucher programs. But we can't give a pay raise to the teachers in the classroom. That's not okay. That's not all right. A public education is a bedrock that this nation was built upon. Public education was all right for me. Was it all right for you? I will. There is no real for education. Countless examples of people who made it rich quick only to lose it because of poor management. They can take money out of your pocket, but if you got it up here, they can't take it from up here. Money can buy knowledge, but it can't buy wisdom. Money can buy recognition, but it can't buy you a good name. Money can make you look real pretty, and y'all look real pretty tonight, but it can't give you a pleasing personality. That's why in the legislature we fight to keep Southern University open. We fight to keep Grambling State University open. We fight to keep LSU open. We fight to keep Louisiana Tech open. We fight to keep Bossier Parish Community College open. We fight to keep Northwestern State University open. We fight to keep LSU Medical School open. We fight to keep our technical schools open. We fight for top grants. We fight for gold grants, because every child that wants to go to school should be able to go to school, and their parents should not have to go broke to do it. I do believe that if we would keep our children in church, involved in the community, in school, then we could keep them out of trouble. Our arms become weary. Arms cannot become weary in facing the changes that are now impacting the right to vote. The right to vote is under attack. The right to vote is under attack. It's subtle, it's insidious, but it's under attack. Laws passed just this year in the legislature where you must now register with the Secretary of State just to conduct a voter registration drive. Laws that say you can only mail in one ballot that doesn't belong to you or an immediate family member. Laws that prohibit assisting more than one person with an absentee ballot unless you are an immediate family member. Laws that have not given the Board of Election Supervisors the right to challenge a mail-in ballot for missing information. And if that ballot cannot be corrected, it will not count. And this one really gets me. Laws that say absentee ballot applications for older adults and those with disabilities will expire in 4 years. You have to go back and renew it every 4 years. Look, they may not be asking you to count jelly beans anymore, but these laws are just as suppressive. And I know, and I hear those who say, well, you know, my vote don't count. There's no need to vote because nothing changes. Well, I say this to you, and I challenge you on this. Either you have not lived long enough to even recognize what change is, or you have not taken the opportunity to educate yourself on change. Change has occurred, and you insult the NAACP when you say change has not occurred. When we marched and we voted, we had the Voting Rights Act. When we marched and we voted, we had the Fair Housing Act. When we marched and we voted, we got diversity in local government. When we marched and we voted, we got diversity in the judicial system. When we marched and we voted, we saw people who sat in the back of the bus now driving the bus. When we marched and when we voted, we saw those weary arms that once picked cotton can now go to the polls and pick a president. Now, some things are not changing, and you keep sending the same people, giving them the same authority, and you keep getting the same results. That's us that are insane. But don't say things have not changed. We need you to be engaged with voting. It is the passport to a better life. Do not desecrate the graves and the image of those who died and bled to give us the right to vote. There was a time you couldn't vote if you wanted to. Our arms cannot become weary when it comes to addressing the population in this state. Right here in Northwest Louisiana, according to the recent census, there was over 17,000 people who left this area. 17,000 people. The statewide growth of the population was only 2.7%, less than 3%. A decline in population has a domino effect. It leads to school closures, a lack of an available workforce, lost representation in governmental bodies, abandoned properties and communities, and blight. We need to keep our young families in our state. We can only do that. We can only do that if, as a state, we're providing them with jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities, home ownership, and a quality of life that they are interested in. We can't do it by passing draconian laws that are oppressive, that run people out of this state. We need to keep our young families here. That's why in the legislature we fight for increasing the minimum wage. That's why we fight for working people and working conditions. That's why we fight to say that men and women who do the same job should have equal pay. That's why we fight. Our arms cannot become weary when it comes to teaching history as it truly exists. There's a movement to rewrite history. They don't want it taught in schools. They don't want it in the libraries. They just want us to ignore it. True history dates back to George Washington and the founding fathers of this nation. All men are created equal. With Abraham Lincoln, and that a house divided emboldened through Dr. Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement that said everybody should not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That's American history. You cannot change it. You can't rewrite it. You can't ignore it. That's American history. Our arms cannot become weary when it comes to accountability for our actions. I want to congratulate the NAACP for going to court and fighting against law was just fundamentally unfair. Here recently, the NAACP had a big victory by creating a second majority black congressional district in the state of Louisiana. It was the right thing to do and the fair thing to do, and it was based upon population. I want to commend the governor of this state, one of the most conservative governors in the nation, for putting the power of the governor's mansion behind making sure that this legislature passed a bill to create that second majority black district here in the state of Louisiana. I think he should be commended for that. If 1/3 of the population of this state is African American, and there are 6 seats in Congress, fairness says it should be 2.
Yeah, that's right.
If you don't want fairness, then math says that it should be 2.
That's right.
I want to commend the NAACP as it continues to fight to create more legislative seats based on population in this state. Everybody needs to be represented equally and fairly in the state legislature. I want to commend the NAACP for that work. And listen, let me tell you this. Winning those victories are not easy. It's not as easy as going down and filing a piece of paper with the clerk of court and thinking the judge is just going to rubber stamp it and say, you're right. It takes a lot of praying, it takes a lot of fighting, it takes a lot of testimony. I saw our state conference president down at the legislature day in and day out. And then when it comes to the court fight, this state conference president being deposed 3 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 2 or 3 days in a row. Show him some love. I want to compliment the NAACP for keeping an eye on the changes that are coming with criminal justice reform. This is an alert, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling everybody to please talk with your children and your grandchildren and let them know it is a new day in Louisiana when it comes to criminal law. You commit a crime in the state of Louisiana after August 1st, you can go to jail. I'm gonna say it again. You're going to jail. Talk to these children. Talk to these grandchildren. Make sure they understand that they cannot afford to be in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people doing the wrong thing. Everybody is going to go down. They have resumed executions in the state of Louisiana. Minors can be charged as adults at the age of 17 with all felony offenses. If you're convicted, you must serve 85% of your sentence before you can get consideration on parole and good time behavior release. Juvenile records can now be made public. This legislature is not kidding. They have set aside $100 million to build more juvenile detention centers throughout this state, but they cut early childhood education to $15 million. That should tell you where the priorities are. That should tell you that this is very, very serious business. Now look, anyone that's making a life of crime needs to be locked up. But those who made a mistake need another chance. I'm looking forward to working with the NAACP and like-minded organizations as we go back now and begin to really try to address some of the root causes of crime. Many people come before the criminal justice system with mental disorders, with behavioral disorders. We're doing very, very little to address those issues, and we're doing very, very little to address reducing recidivism. If you're sending people back out and you're not helping them to get a job, helping them with housing, or to get a new lease on life, you're sending them back out in that same environment that sent them to jail in the first place. Our arms cannot become weary. Our arms cannot become weary when it comes to restoring a sense of family. I want to start out by saying that everybody on Facebook is not your friend. Stop putting all your business on Facebook. Everybody see your business, and they're not your friend. Some of the wisest people you will ever meet are people in your own family. Make time to come together at the kitchen table. Make time to talk with your children and find out what's going on in their life. Make time for family prayer. Our arms cannot become weary. Our arms cannot become weary with setting an optimistic tone for the future. The NAACP has stood up for us in good times and bad times. They've been there. When we call, the NAACP has responded, and they stood up for us. I want to know who is going to stand up with the NAACP. And if you can, and if you're able, I want you to stand up right now for the NAACP. Stand up for justice. Stand up for equality. Stand up for fairness. Stand up for faithfulness. Stand up for righteousness. Stand up for the better days that are going to come. Stand up for hope. Stand up for change. And God has told us that He's with us, that we'll never be alone. No, never alone. No, never alone. He promised never to leave us. Never to leave us alone. God bless you. God bless the NAACP. And God continue to bless the great state of Louisiana. Thank you.